Can you hear it? Can you hear it? That, my friends, is the Masters theme song. We are back, baby. It is the best week of the year. It is Masters week. We're going to Augusta. Let's go. Let's find some DFS plays this week to help you take down the Millie Maker. It's time. DFS Army is due. We haven't had a Millie Maker in, I don't know, a couple of weeks. Let's go, baby. Let's get into it. I'm going to cover it all here, from the weather to the lineup construction to my core plays. Best amateur option. Like, we got it all for you this week in the Dead by Noon podcast, brought to you by DFS Army. What up, people? It's your boy, DFS Up North. And again, I am here today to talk to you guys about DFS golf. We are here for the Masters. We are going to Augusta, Georgia, Augusta National Golf Club. Somebody's putting on that green jacket this year. I'm super excited for this event. The Masters holds a near and dear place to in my heart. Big golf fan here. Grew up watching the Masters, obviously, like many of you. But I don't know how many of you, like my wife, is even a bigger fan than I am. She walked down to the aisle to the Masters theme song. Like, that's how we do in this household. So this is a holiday. I took Thursday off. We already got Friday off for Easter. It's a national holiday here in my household. So I'm excited for it. I hope that you guys are fired up. We're going to talk all about the course. We're going to talk about the plays. We're going to talk about the weather, right? That seems to be an issue so far. And then at the end, I'm going to go through the domination station and show you how I am setting up the optimizer this week to help me win. And hopefully that can help you win as well. So before we get to it, though, just wanted to remind you, like, this is free. We got lots of free tools over at dfsarmy.com. You can check them out. But if you want access to the real nitty gritty, you want access to that optimizer, you want to get involved. And more importantly, you want access to our Discord, right? Like the VIP Discord, which I think is just maybe some of the sharpest guys in the game. You got to use that code up north. That gets you 10% off. VIP membership. You get a week, get a month, whatever you want to do. Check us out. You will not regret it. And before I get to the course preview, again, one more thing. If you want to drop in the comments below who you think is winning the Masters this year, has to be somebody that is not Rory McIlroy, because that's my pick. The guy's putting on the green jacket this year, finishing that career Grand Slam. All right, let's get into it. We are talking about the course first, right? So this is my Masters course preview. You can find this on dfsarmy.com. Link is below in the description here. But you can, this is free, right? This is free for everybody. But let's get through and talk about it, right? 7,554 yards. They lengthened it a little bit this year, but we're in Augusta, Georgia, right? Bobby Jones, legendary amateur golfer, and Cliff Roberts opened the club in 1933. It's an Alistair McKenzie design. And the course has, I saw a tweet earlier. I should have held that up, but the course has really changed over the years. You know, back in the 30s and 40s, the trees just weren't growing up like they were. So those tree-lined fairways really weren't what they didn't look like that back then. Now they do, though. Horton Smith won the inaugural event, award of the winner, introduced in 1949, with Sam Snead being the first to receive it. Over the years, we've seen Augusta undergo a number of changes, adding, modifying bunkers, changing the greens a little bit. Obviously known for its flowers, right? Tradition unlike any other. Let's get into the actual setup, though, right? Par 72, 7,545. They did lengthen Azalea, right, which is the par 3 or par 5 13th hole dogleg left. So it's a little bit longer. They pushed that tee back this year, and some guys, like even DJ, said he's probably gonna lay up this year just because he can't really cut the ball. It's a little bit longer. He's gonna have a tough time getting there in two, or he can't really draw the ball. Sorry. We've got, like I said, 6,486 square feet of heavily undulating greens. All right. These greens here are some of the toughest to read in the world. I can't even see myself here. I'm going to go down here. Nope, that's in the way too. All right. We'll slide it back up to the top. But yeah, so huge undulating greens. You really, very few players have found a way to be successful. I'm going to take the overlay off. Maybe that'll help. Be successful on these greens right away, right? They've had a tough time, There we go. Get rid of that. Tough time just figuring them out. The only guy who really has in his first try has been Tony Finau, who came here and absolutely smashed right away. So they're tough to read greens, bent grass greens, and it's all about pace. All right. They're never going to tell you the stimp meter here. They're very private with some of that information, but realistically, even if we get some rain, these are going to roll at 13 plus on the stimp, right? It's all about pace and missing on the right side with these greens. So guys who are going to jam the putt at the ball at the hole, or the ball at the hole, are going to struggle. But what we've actually seen here is that you don't necessarily need to be a great putter to win. You got guys like Bubba Watson, right? Jordan Spieth is known for his short game, but at times has struggled with the putter. Winner here. Danny Willett, not a great putter. Decky, terrible putter, right? So guys that can if you can two putt everything, you're in really good shape. All right. Big wide fairways. Finding the fairway here really isn't an issue. We should get increased numbers there. Rough 35 should be fairly thick. All right. Sand bunkers 44, water hazard 6 holes of waters in play 5, right? We're seeing the second cut of ryegrass, just really, that's what they call the rough here. I forgot, we can't call it rough. The second cut 1.375. As you get a little bit further out, it's going to get a little bit thicker, but we don't have a ton of, it's more about tight lies here, right? And just putting yourself in position to attack these pins. Okay. Some of the key statistics here, right? We got the wide fairways, the greens, fast undulating greens, elevation changes. It's hard to tell on TV, but this course has a ton of elevation changes. And then the par fives, right? 2, 8, 13, and 15. You got to play the par fives well if you are going to win here. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. So selection factors, right? We talked about par 5 scoring. Got to be able to scramble, right? You have a hard time holding some of these greens. You got to be able to get up and down. Ball striking is obviously important as anywhere. And then course history, I think, makes a big difference in a course like this. We look at some of the quotes about the course from some of the players that have had success here, like Jack Nicklaus says, the secret of the Augusta National is the greens. You have to be very precise in your iron play and hit the correct quadrant of the green. So again, you look at some of the past winners here. We can scroll down and see past winners. You're talking about guys who are elite ball strikers: Tiger, Sergio, Jordan Spieth, Bubba Watson, Adam Scott, right? So you got to be able to put it in the right area of the green to be able to get to the pin. Course management, right? Again, finding the right area. Big part of playing Augusta National. You have to understand where to place the ball. You have to have a great short game because you're going to miss some greens. Key to playing Augusta National is being aggressive on the par 5s and patient on the par 4s. Pick your spots, know when to attack. Better to stay patient, right? So we're kind of hearing the same thing here from all of these guys. Creativity is important. You have to be able to shape shots and adapt to different lies and elevation changes. Yeah, you're never going to get a flat lie here for the most part. It's always either going to be above your feet or below your feet. All about confidence, trust your swing, and believe in yourself. Great balance of power and finesse. You got to have distance off the tee, but you need a precise short game and a solid stroke. So you really just need, guys who are patient, who aren't going to force it, which is weird because you got a guy like Bubba, but his creativity kind of came through here. Guys who are patient, aren't going to force it, and then can crush the par 5s, right? I think when Hideki won, he played the par 5s in -11 and the par 3s and 4s in +1. So you can really make your bread on those par 5s. So again, this course, I really want to, focus on ball striking here. I want to focus on, guys who have course history, guys who can score and just aren't going to make a big number, because you can make a big number around here. You can come back from a big number, but you can make a big number here. We will see somebody make a 9 on the first hole tomorrow. That will happen. All right, weather. Let's talk about the weather. All right, so currently Tuesday, we're looking at Thursday and Friday right now. If you can see here on the screen, Friday is not looking great, and neither is Saturday. So we got chances of rain all day. I will say this, that Saturday looks a lot better today than it did yesterday. We were looking at like 2 inches of rain on Saturday yesterday. They've obviously lightened that a little bit. But Saturday and Sunday, we are looking at the temperatures dropping in a big way. And then, yeah, we got a little bit of rain on Friday, not as much. Okay. If we look at, so here's the thing right now, if I was going to look at this, right, I would say, all right, yeah, okay. Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, right? Looks to be the best sort of, chance at having good weather here. All right. Maybe a small wave advantage. But when we look at the super forecast, all right, the super forecast digs in a little bit deeper. All right, you can see that they're really, I mean, 6 to 5 miles an hour all day. The gusts are pretty like, okay, so 6 o'clock, we have a 7-mile-an-hour gust as opposed to 10 a.m. You have a 12-mile-an-hour gust. Is that really worth targeting? Now, we don't have Friday yet. So once we get Fridays in there, I think you can make a little bit easier decision on what you are going to do if you're going to try to focus on guys in PM AM. But it's harder to try to find like what is a PM or an AM wave here because everybody goes off number one. So starting at 8 a.m., everybody's teeing off on number one, and it kind of goes throughout the day. So right now, I don't see a huge wave advantage, but it's possible that we see one. Okay, so our research station, let's get into it a little bit, talk about some of the key stats that we've been going over here. Look at who some of the best plays are. Research station, again, if you are a DFS Army VIP, if you always go through and make a copy, now we can sort all of the research station. One thing that I always like to look at right away when I get in is if this thing loads. Well, we're not going to see any drift yet, but I just like to look at it and see if there's any discrepancy in the pricing and the odds. All right, so if we go to live odds, okay, this is going to tell us what it looks like. Like, is there any, oopsies, Larry Mize is 2,467 to 1 to win. All right, so we can see here that there's a couple of guys that there's just maybe a little bit of odds value on. So we get a little bit of odds value on Spieth and Cantlay, right? Xander, Brooks Koepka's seen his odds drop a ton. So what that tells us is that people like Brooks Koepka here at this price point. Corey Connors has seen his odds drop quite a bit. And then you can also tell kind of guys who people don't like, right? So somebody like Cam Smith is not getting a lot of love right now, probably because he said in his press conference yesterday that his game's not that sharp. But again, how do you deny the fact that the guy's got 4 top 10s here, including 3 top 5s in the last 5 years? So sharp or not, guy crushes this event. Anybody else that's a big time odds swing versus price? Siwoo Kim is decent here. There's a big gap here, 67 to 83 in the board. That's interesting. Okay, Tom Hoagie is jumping up there, right, with the price like that. Hoagie's a guy that I'm high on this week. People seem to like Danny Willett, it looks like, a little bit. All right, so that tells us that. The other thing that I like to look at right away is value and ownership. So value is telling us, like, what per dollar, right, who is likely to project to have the most points. So we got guys up here. When we look at value, we're talking Corey Connors, Tony Finau, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth. That oftentimes correlates with the ownership, and we can see that those guys are some of the highest owned plays here. So if you're building a cash lineup, right, the easiest thing that you can do is just jump here, check the value, check the ownership, and say, okay, like I can probably build a 5-man lineup almost right from here. So if I went Scheffler, probably can't play Rory, but if I went Scheffler, Connors, Finau, Spieth, and Sungjae, does that get me there? I might have to check that out here. But yeah, you can find an easy cash option just by looking at who is going to be the highest owned. Like I said, you can see the highest owns here are Scheffler, Connors, and our boy Rory, who we do really like this week. I think he's a excellent play. Okay, so we know that length here is definitely a big time thing. So let's go to recent form for length. Now you can get it around here by being a little bit shorter, but let's see what we've got. So you can see kind of the length numbers here in this column right here by recent. If we look over here towards recent form here, we can see that some of the longer hitters, with the exception of maybe Gary Woodland, pretty much all of these guys have had a ton of success here, even Cam Champ. So I think we can give distance a little bit of bump in our pool this week, and you can take some chances on guys like Minwoo Lee, who I really am high on this week at only 7%. I'll have at least double of that. And maybe even a guy like an Adrian Moronk might be successful here in his debut, or a Ryan Fox. I don't always love taking guys in their debut, but it's interesting to look at. Birdies are better game. This looks at everything. It's not just going to be par 5s. But who is crushing it in birdie or better game? You got to make some birdies here. You're going to make some mistakes too. But guys like Rahm, Hatton, Homa, JT. JT's history here is just I just never think that he can putt well enough to be successful here, but I tell you what, he has for sure. Now the other way, we're gonna go double bogey or worse. Who's making the least amount of big numbers here? Who's not putting themselves in the hole right away? And, you're looking at guys like Zalatoris, Tiger, all right, recent form. Obviously, we don't have a ton of rounds on him recent form, but Shane Lowry, who I like a lot this week, Tommy Kim, Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay is a sneaky good par 5 player. He hasn't had a ton of success here, but he should, all right? We look at off the tee. We talked about distance, but this takes into account fairways, things like that as well. And you're looking, these high-end guys like Cantlay, Sung Jae, Neiman, don't love. He's been struggling on the LIV Tour this year. I know some guys do like him, and that's I can see it. For me, not going there this week. But, you can mess around with this. You're a DFS Army VIP. You get to come here and you get access to all of this, right? Who's the best bent grass putter in the field? Okay, who's, Mike Weir. Guy used to drive an Uber, but maybe a guy like Sam Burns or Justin Rose or Mackenzie Hughes or Patrick. God, he's such a conundrum for me. I really had a hard time not making him a core play this week for me. We'll talk about my cores here in a second. But I really had a hard time not making Cantlay a core play because he should be successful here. But he just hasn't quite figured it out. The weather makes me a little concerned for him too. And that's why I ended up going Colin Morikawa. But God, he checks a lot of boxes for me. He checks a lot of boxes for me. So again, like guys like that, again, it's hard with the LIV Tour players. It's difficult to figure out, okay, where are we going with them? What does it look like? How do we, what is right? Like we don't really have any data on them. So I'll talk about them here more when we get to my cheat sheet. But yeah, it's interesting to see. All right, who's the worst bent grass putter? Let's look the other way. Oh, going Z to A. Let's go A to Z. Bernie Langer, Thomas Peter. Oh shit, my boy Min Woo. But I don't think we have a huge sample. Maybe we do have a decent sized sample on that. But Sergio, hey, who's one of the worst putters here on bent grass? Decky. Guess what? My boy Decky won. So you can't read too much into putting, and putting's so highly variance. But one more thing I wanted to look at. This week we only have 85 golfers in the field, right? And because of that, with the top 50 and ties making the cut, we could see it's going to be really tight, and just one position point or one birdie might completely flip you from top 10 to outside of the top 500 in DFS contests. So I really want guys that are typically finishing towards the top of the PGA Tour events anyway. So if we look at top 10% rate, that's who's finishing in the top 10% of the scoring. And obviously, you have your usual subjects here, but some sneaky guys that maybe finish in the top 10 a lot are guys like Sung Jae, Seamus Power, right? BK, Shane Lowry, Russell Henley scores really well all the time. So I'm intrigued by looking at some guys that maybe aren't your traditional sort of high-end scores. The other thing you can look at here is, okay, this is something that could be a factor this week is bogey-free rounds, right? You get a bonus for bogey every time you get a bogey-free round. And Seamus Power, Patrick Cantlay, Abe Ancer, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Tom Kim, right? Maybe these are, some sneaky ways to attack and try to maybe find some more scoring here, because it's going to be so close this week, I think, in DFS contests. So there we go. That's our research station. Again, obviously, we've got all their detailed strokes gains tools, field rank trackers, stat cruncher, tournament comparisons, things like that, looking at obviously all of these events. But let's look at my cheat sheet, all right? And let's talk about my core plays for the week. I'm just going to scoot this out just a little bit so that you can see it. So my core this week, and again, my core are not necessarily like my favorite 4 plays, right? Like if you're just talking about your 4 favorites, you're talking about, Rory, Scheffler, Rahm, but you can't get all those guys in the same lineup. So for me, the DFS Army, what I try to do is I put out my core of these 4 guys are who I'm really building my lineups around because they all fit together. All right. So Rory's a no-brainer this week. He's winning. I'm not even questioning it. He said he's played 81 rounds there this year. It's insane. For me, the next guy it was close to being Patrick Cantlay, and he's really in that core of guys that I think can win. But For me, it's Colin Morikawa. He's just too cheap. There's lots of good plays, and I think he's going to be a little bit underowned. We haven't projected at 15%. I wouldn't be surprised to see him a little bit lower than that. Then, two cheapies, Siwoo Kim, who's got great history here. He's been playing well, and Kurt Kitayama, who's making his debut. And I don't love looking at guys that are making their debut, but he's just such, like, his comps all come in, right? Great putter. He's played in these big-time events before, taking down the big guys. I think he's going to have a good week. After that, right, you got guys like Scheffler, Rahm, Cameron Smith. All right, what do we do? That's the question that I've kind of seen is what do we do with the live guys? I'm concerned that everybody's sort of written them off. All right, because they play 3 events so far. Maybe if they went to the Asian tour, whatever. And it's tricky, right? Because we have nothing to go off of. And even next year, when we have this year's results, we really don't have a huge enough data set to say, hey, these guys aren't going to be prepared for the Masters, right? What's concerning to me is that they've talked about not being prepared necessarily. Like Brooks doesn't even know what his win last week means for him. Now, if he had won on the PGA Tour, he'd be saying, my game's in great shape. I'm ready to roll. Now he's saying, I don't really know where I'm at. Cam Smith, not as sharp as I have been, right? So it's intriguing. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a couple of live guys that we can target. So for me, I'm not afraid to play a little Cam Smith. I think DJ is too cheap. I think obviously Brooks is going to be fairly popular at that price point. But as we go down, I think that's where you find some of the cheaper guys that are good options. Louis, no. Mito, I'm interested. Answer, I wish he was playing a little bit better. But the guy that I am really going to target is right here, and that is Taylor Gooch, right? If he had just had been gone for an injury, right? Like let's say he'd been out for 5 months with a elbow injury and now he's coming back, he'd be 7,800, not 6,800. Especially not 7,700 on FanDuel. So he's an excellent play this week. The other guys that I'm willing to take some chances on are some of these cheapies like Harold Varner, Kevin Na. If Kevin Na had been playing on the PGA Tour this year, even if he'd been terrible, he'd be 7,500 in this field, right? Makes no sense to me. If he was 7,200 where Louis is, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is a guy that has had how many? Let's see, where are we at here? How many top 15 finishes recently at the Masters? Scroll me down here. Oh, I gotta sort. Yeah, Kevin Na. It's 14th, 12th, 13th, last 3 years. I think he just forgot to play around here. How he plays around here? I don't know. I know that his form isn't good, but you got to take some chances on guys like that. I think Charles Schwartz, he's been terrible too, but Schwartzel shows up here every year and balls out. All right. So I think you can play some of them. There's some, I'm not playing Patrick Reed. I'm not playing, God, I really should. He looked better last week, but I'm not playing Sergio. I'm not playing Bryson, right? But I think they're viable here. I think they're viable. I don't love it, but they're absolutely viable options and they're underpriced and going to be underowned. All right. I think a live guy wins. I don't. All right. But I think there's potential for them to be in the nuts, right? If you get a guy that's 6,600 and he finishes 18th, he's got a chance at being in the nuts. And guys like Na and HV3, and especially Taylor Gooch have chances at that. All right, let's talk about some of my favorite cheapies here. I love Taylor Moore this week making his debut. I think guys that are maybe going to go overlooked a little bit here based on ownership are guys like Kirk Henley. Love Hoagie. We showed Seamus Power popping off here. Like him a lot. I would like to like Brian Harman, but he just hasn't been playing well. I'm really high on Danny Willett, but so is the rest of the field. I'm really high on JT Poston. The rest of the field's not. I'm really high on Adam Svensson. The rest of the field isn't. I'm really high on KH Lee. The rest of the field isn't. I got this thing for Mackenzie Hughes. I just think that he's going to play well this week. Made the cut the last 2 years, 40th and 50th. I think he's going to be good. And then guy that I am super high on is Vanderbilt's Gordon Sargent, number one world amateur in the world. The guy pounds the ball off the tee. He finds fairways. His short game's pretty good. I get it. He's an amateur. He could finish 400th, right? All right, he can't finish 400th, but he could shoot 80, right? Easily could shoot 80 here. But I think he's going to be in the mix this week. I like him for even a top 20 finish at 6,100 on DraftKings and 6,000 on FanDuel. Like, I'm that high on him. All right. So let's talk about making some lineups here. All right. So one thing that I'm gonna do this week, let's see. I'm just gonna say 50. Okay. Tournament mode. Let's just keep one unique in there. I don't want to force a player in, but here's what I'm gonna do. So I know, and you know, that the reality is that there's probably only 10 to 12 guys that can win the Masters. All right. And I'm going to set up a rule to stack between 1 and 2 of the players that I think can win the Masters. Actually, I'm going to stack between 2 and 2. I want it, and this is, or 2 and 3, because I might have a couple of cheaper guys in there. But I think that is the way to attack this week. All right, is to really hammer on the guys that you think can win. All right, so who are the guys that can win the Masters? All right, well, we can just kind of scroll down here. We got Scotty, we got Rom, we got Rory. I think Cam Smith can win. I don't want to. I'm not going to have a ton of them. I think Jordan Spieth can win. I think Cantlay can win. I think Thomas can win. I think Homa can win. I think Morikawa can win. I think that Schauffele can win. I don't know that Tony can win. I'm just saying that. All right. I'm going to include him. Dustin Johnson, I think, can win. As we scroll down here, I don't think any of these. Jason Day, I don't think can win. I don't think Hovland can win. I think Decky could repeat if he's feeling well. I'm going to put him in there. And then a sneaky guy that I think can win. I think Zalatoris could figure it out. And I think Sung Jae could figure it out. All right. And then, we got to get BK in there. We got to get Brooks Koepka in there. I'm not going to include Koepka in this, because at 7,500, what the optimizer is going to do is it's going to say, okay, this guy's cheaper. I can build a higher projected lineup with him. I'm going to put that in there. All right. So I'm not going to put him in there, but I'm going to put this rule in that I got to have at least 2 of these guys in all of my lineups. All right. So I'm saying this is the group that I think can win. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I said 12. We got 14. I think that somebody in this group is going to win. That's what I'm putting my money on. All right. And then I'm going to use that, like I said, as a rule to help build the rest of my lineups. Okay. I'm going to set an exposure max at 60 for everybody. And then I'm going to say, hey, I need 40% Rory. I'm going way over the field on Rory. I like Cantlay. I'm not putting an exposure minimum on him. I love Morikawa. I'm going to say I need at least 20% Morikawa in my lineups. Who else? Oh, and we're going to go find my boy Sargento. And I'm going to, let's scroll down because I want to see what Taco has for the rest of our projections on Sargent. I think he's going to finish in the top 20. I can put him at like 50. He's going to get smashed if I put him at 50. I'm going to just say I want 20% Sargent. Kevin wouldn't approve of that way to use the optimizer, but I like doing it like that. All right, let's see what we get. 50 lineups. Let's go. Okay, so it's giving me 40% Rory, 34% Connors. Ooh, it's jamming me a lot of my boy Finau. All right, so what do these lineups look like, right? Cantlay, Thomas, Zalatoris, Fleetwood, Koepka, Connors. God, I love Masters Week. It just, I love major pricing. Your lineups just look so sexy. Did I get 20% Sargent? I did. Who am I not getting? Here. The lineups look good, right? Ew, Patrick. Oh, I forgot to uncheck some people. All right. So, yeah, we got to fix this. All right, let's go through it. One of the things that I forgot to do here is that I need to go on an unchecking thing here. So Mike Weir, like I love Freddie Couples, VJ, Larry Mize, you're 1,000 years old. Not happening. I think Potgieter could play. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Sam Bennett can play. He's the slowest player on earth, but I think he could get in there. I'm not playing Phil. I do like Moronk. Okay, so some of these guys I didn't get any of. I'm going to just give a little bit of a like to if I know that I didn't get much of them. All right, like Svensson, really high on Svensson. Put a love on him. Increases projection. Jason Kokrak, no. Finau or Molinari, no. Poston, yes, sir. Love him. Harmon, no. I want Gary Woodland to be good here. No. Put a little love here. Put a little love here. I have no interest in Peters playing terribly. Watson. Billy Horschel's, I don't know. Not my favorite. Sergio, no. Oh yeah, we got to get Kitayama in some. Louis, his elbow is injured. Do not play Louis this week. All right, hanging on by a thread. Love Tiger. You got to keep him in there, but I don't think he's going to really have much going on here. Anybody else I want to uncheck? No, we'll leave it like that. Okay, let's optimize again. See what I get. All right, let's make sure we got a little bit extra. So we got 42. Pounding some Hoagie in there. Pounding some Kitayama in there. I do like that. Getting Gordon Sargent. Oh, okay. So some numbers that I don't like. All right. I am a Fitz believer, but I am not wanting 16% Fitz. All right. That I want to maybe get a little bit more of. I think that Sungjae has a real chance to win here. I'm going to bump his projection up a little bit. I need a little bit more JT. Who's down here? I need a little bit more Tom Kim. I think Tom Kim's got a good chance this week. All right, I don't hate the rest of that. Let's see what we got. Again, like this is a process. I'm only gonna do this like once, maybe twice more, just to give you guys an idea of what that process looks like. I will be messing with this for a couple more hours. But all right, we're getting there. We are getting there on these lineups, though, right? I always like to scroll to the bottom to see who I'm not getting enough of, right? So let's get a little bit more here. KH Lee. All right, I got to uncheck Tiger. I'm going to uncheck Harold Varner too, because he's not allowing me to get some of these other guys that I like. Keith Mitchell. Ooh, I'm going to uncheck Cam Smith. Don't want him. Again, he says his game's not in great shape. Did I put him in the thing? I don't think I did I? In my rule? No, I didn't. All right. One more time for the people at home. Optimize. I actually probably, when I go and do this on my own, I'll probably bump Rory up to 50. Let's just do that right now and see what happens. It's going fast right now. Isn't it crazy how fast you can do lineups here? Okay, so we ended up with 50% Rory. All right, so then, okay. So let's say I love these exposures. Oh, I got a little DJ in there. All right, so let's say I love these exposures, and I'm going through my lineups, and let's find one that I don't like. All right. Okay, I'm not super high on Hovland this week. All right. Can I get anything different here? All right, Victor Hovland. I can get up to Matsuyama. I can do another Sungjae. Let's just say I'm going to do Sungjae. That's how easy it is, you guys. That's how easy it is. Okay. The other thing that you can do here to mess with this, I think just by going with that double, with that rule, I am going to be unique enough that I'm not going to, I mean, you're obviously going to probably match somebody, but I'm on DraftKings, right? Oh, salary range. Okay. Salary cap. Okay. This is the one thing that you can mess with. All right. Let's say if we put a $49,000 salary cap in, what does that look like? Okay. So that's going to make me very unique because I'm not going to have a lineup that's anywhere near all the numbers, right? So that ends up, and if you do this, what I would suggest then is to come through and say, all right, I like this lineup. I go through all of them. All right. And say, all right, is there anybody that's popping into here that I don't love? Okay. Or is there any combinations that I don't love? All right. Because you do have a lot more salary to mess with, right? Like, because that's the thing is like, I put it at 49,000, right? Well, I don't love Danny Willett, but Danny Willett straight up versus any of these guys, man, I could get there, right? Oh wait, hold on here. Is this gonna mess? Okay, let me see something here. I should have $1,000 to go. Oh, that is a bug in the system. It is. It won't let me go up. All right, well, guys, we just found a bug in the system. All right, that doesn't allow us, because I should have $1,000. I should be able to get up to Brooks Koepka from 6,600, right, on a $49,000 lineup. Not often that we find those live on air. I like that. But yeah, you can obviously okay, let's see this. Hold on. If I come back up here, I made it, and I go, where's my salary cap? Bump it all the way back. 50. Let's see if that changes it. Okay, let's go Victor Hovland. Yes, I can. Oh, okay. So if you're gonna, that's the trick. All right, it should just do it on its own. But if you do a salary cap, you have to slide that thing back to be able to get up to that number. All right. Okay. That's a really good thing to know. I did not realize that. All right, people, that is what we've got for today. Again, my core this week, Morikawa, McIlroy, Siwoo, Kitayama. Sounds like $1 million. Drop a comment below who you think is going to win. Like, subscribe if you like more of this. Check it out. I'm going to have an underdog draft coming up here in a little bit, looking at the major contests, which I'm excited about here. Have a fantastic Masters week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Cheers. See ya.